Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way being recorded. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names, kicking candy ass, live and in living color here with you. Grande's Gridiron. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Grande's Gridiron is debuting today on the channel. This is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, where the concept's simple. I come on here week in and week out and pick all the NFL games on the schedule for you all. This should be a lot of fun. We can play with spreads and over-unders if you want to. We could go that route. This is my first week doing it, so I don't know if we'll go into that stuff this week, but we can go in through all the games, talk about them, discuss them. You can comment down below. Let me know what you think, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and we can go from there. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Like I've said in the past, this channel's initial plan back when I was in college was to be a fantasy football channel where I'd help with waiver wire pickups and drafting and all that good stuff. And all these years later, now that it's become the horror channel that I've never could have imagined it could be, but it's just been such a fun ride on Grande's Graveyard. I said, why the hell not debut a new segment for people that like sports? And that's Grande's Gridiron, football in particular, and we will get underway. I'm not going to keep you in suspense any longer, so for any of my NFL fans out there, feel free, if you're new to the channel, comment down below. Let me know your favorite team. Let me know what you think of the season. Let me know what you think of the picks. Give me your picks, and we can go from there. So everybody, I'm excited. This is here. This is it. Week 1 of the NFL 2023 season. It kicks off Thursday, September the 7th, as the Detroit Lions and company travel to Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead to face the Super Bowl defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is a very fun opening night matchup, in my opinion, because I think you have two teams that are going to win their division here. I really think the Detroit Lions will win the North this year. I really enjoy all the rebuilding that they've done. I like Aiden Hutchinson. I think Goff has been playing better. Granted, I always make fun of Jared Goff. He played better last year, and I think that the coach really has inspired them to be playing winning football. And I know last year they came up just a game short, a tiebreaker short, actually. They finished the same record as the Seahawks and were just a tiebreaker short because of the head-to-head loss against Seattle. But I think that Detroit, they're a team that they're up and coming. They're young. They have a lot of energy. And I just think Dan Campbell has rallied those troops. And I think they do win the NFC North this year. However, it's a really rough opening week matchup against Patrick Mahomes and company, against the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead as well, coming off a Super Bowl title. This is a really, really tough matchup for the Detroit Lions on the road in week 1, and I do like the Chiefs here. However, looks like the Chiefs are giving, right now, the line is minus 6.5. I think Detroit covers the 6.5. I think Chiefs win by 3 or 4. I think the Chiefs win by 3 or 4. So I would take Detroit with the points, but I'm taking the Chiefs to win the game overall. I like the Chiefs there. Kicking off Sunday, September the 10th, though, we've got the Panthers traveling to Atlanta. Yes, okay, so two teams that, underperformed mightily last year. Two teams that are rocking out new quarterbacks. Of course, Carolina with their fresh young draft pick. The number one, I believe they traded up to get the number 1 draft pick from Chicago. They got rid of DJ Moore, and now so they have a wide receiver 1 in Chicago, so that's good for Bears fans. Bears! It's good for the Bears fans. It's not the greatest for the Panthers, who do look like they're rebuilding. Of course, they brought in a new head coach, and I don't know. These two teams, I think, are in messy states right now. Like, I think they'll probably play around 500 ball, both of them. You're looking at two teams that probably finish around 7-10, 8-9, 9-8 at the best, 6-11, 5-12 with the worst. So I don't know. To me, this is a real crapshoot game. I think the Falcons get the home win to open up the season. I just think the Panthers are going through too many growing pains right now. I think the Falcons will find a way to sneak this win out week 1. I think it's a very, very close game. I'm not sure what the spread is. Falcons are giving 3.5. I actually would take the 3.5 if I'm the Panthers. I would take the 3.5 points because I do think this game is decided by like a field goal or less, and I could see the Atlanta Falcons winning by a field goal. So I think the Falcons win by a field goal, but again, I would take the 3.5 if I'm Carolina, and I think you cover by half a point at worst coming to worst. So that is the Panthers at the Falcons. I like the Falcons. Give me the home team there in a division game. Texans traveling to Baltimore. This is a slam dunk. Give me the Ravens. The Ravens are minus 10 favorites here. The Ravens will win and the Ravens will cover. I know the Texans brought in DeMeco Ryan, and I think that he will do a good job as a head coach. You also, again, they have a new quarterback at the helm. I don't know. I don't really buy into Houston. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Houston will be ready. Houston will be better than they were last year. I see them as a 4 or 5 win team at most. I think the AFC South is just a really, really rough division right now, especially the Colts and the Texans. And I do not see the Texans doing anything in this game. Not against Baltimore's wonderful defense, not against Lamar Jackson coming fresh off this new contract. I think the Ravens blow them out of the water, probably by 3 scores or more. I like the Ravens big time here. I think this is, I would not even mind giving the 10. I wouldn't mind giving 14 points. That's how confident I am. And this is coming from a Steelers fan. I'll tell you one thing here right now, for people that don't know, for people that are new to the channel, I'm a very unbiased guy for the most part. Granted, with my Steelers, I may just have them upsetting the 49ers this week, but for the most part, I'm unbiased. I'm not going to fucking be, oh, I hate the Ravens. I think the Texans are going to win. No. The Ravens are a very good football team. John Harbaugh is a wonderful coach. In my opinion, he's a top 5 coach in the league. Easy. He's been doing it since I'm in fucking elementary school. That's how long John Harbaugh's been a head coach. Same with Mike Tomlin. Both of them. It seems like they've been in the league around the same time. I think Tomlin was a head coach in 1 year longer than Harbaugh. But that's how good those two guys have been. In the same division, how many matchups? I believe over 30 times those two have coached against one another. And the records are very close. So I really, really like the Ravens here to just destroy the Houston Texans. I think the Ravens win by 3 scores. I really like the Baltimore Ravens here. So easy pick for me, slam dunk pick. The over-under's 44. These over-unders can get tricky because I could see the Ravens winning like 35-10. And then it's okay. You just got over. So I don't know. I would never touch an over under in a game like this because I do think that the Ravens win via blowout. So I would give the points and I would feel comfortable doing so. So that is the Ravens going over the Texans for me. Next matchup is Bengals at Browns. Yes, Bengals at Browns. Joe Burrow apparently is going to be ready. I know he had the injury in the preseason and the practice with his calf, I believe. I'm not sure what it was. It looked really bad at first, but it sounds like he's going to be ready to go. Now, I'm not. This is me recording this August the 29th, so as far as I know, he's going to play. I don't know if things could change from now and then. If they do, don't fucking rip me apart in the comments because this was recorded on August the 29th, so it is what it is. Bengals at the Browns. Browns are getting 2 at home. Give me the fucking Browns. I like the Browns. I like the points. I wish it was 3. I wish it was even 3. I don't like +2. There's not much you can really do with that. But I do think the Browns win here because I think the Browns have the Bengals number. And the Bengals, the past 2 years, have been a second half team. Last year at home, huge home favorites against the Steelers, lost in overtime to us. The following week, lost to a backup quarterback in Dallas. So they started 0-2, and I believe they finished, either 13-4 or 12-5. I forget which was the exact record, but they started 0-2 and won their next 12 of their next fucking however many games, 12 of their next 15 or 13 of their next 15. So they've been a second half team for sure. They've been really, really good over the past couple of years. I think the Bengals lose this game. I think the Browns are going to shock them here. I think the Browns have played them honestly the best out of anyone in our division. That's hard to believe. But the year that the Bengals went to the bowl, the Browns swept them. People don't remember that. And of course, last year, the Browns dismantled the Bengals on a Monday night. So in their last 4 against Cleveland, the Bengals are 1-3. And I actually think they go 1-4 in their next 5 because I really, really like the Browns to get the home win here. I think the Browns open up strong. I take the 2.5. I'm sorry, the 2. Right now it's 2. I would if you wait and it goes up to 3, take the Browns, take a field goal, take home field advantage, and I think you're going to get rewarded. I like Cleveland to beat Cincinnati Bengals week 1. I definitely don't know what percentage Joe Burrow's at too. So Joe Burrow is playing at 80-85%. I like it even more. And I think Deshaun Watson has a lot to prove on the other side of the ball. Deshaun Watson looked rusty. Deshaun Watson, in a lot of ways, I think took the air out of that sails. I don't think Jacoby Brissett was doing that bad of a job last year when he finally got the hook. And Deshaun came in, did not play the greatest. The team won a couple of games despite his bad play, but in the end, it ended up being a little bit short. So I think the Browns win this game. I think the Bengals start slow for a 3rd straight year, and I do think they will come on. I do think they'll be strong, but I like the Browns here. I think the Browns get the week 1 win at home. Give me the 2 points. Give me Cleveland. So moving on into another divisional game, as the Jaguars travel to Indianapolis to face the Colts. Colts getting 4.5 points at home. I see this is a spread I would never touch. I don't like normally touching spreads in division games, and this is one of them I wouldn't touch. I do think Jacksonville goes in, gets the road win, because I think the Colts are just mess and they're rebuilding. And as the season winded down last year, they were the worst team in the NFL. Like I think they started like 4-6-1 or 4-5-1, and they were like right around the playoff picture, and then they just lost out. I think they're an awful football team. Like I would say they're a bottom 5 football team, and I don't think they win many games this year. I think their ceiling is about 5 to 6 wins, and that's their ceiling. I mean, I do think in reality they win 3 or 4 again. And this is a game that I do not see them winning at all. I think Jacksonville might play sloppy, might play ugly, might play, whatever. I could see Jacksonville winning by a field goal, which wouldn't cover the spread. So this is a game where I would not cover the spread. I would not take the spread. I would take the Jaguars, leave the points on the table, don't fucking give any points. I would take the Jaguars money line here if I'm putting money on a game like this. I think the Jaguars sneak it out. Could even be ugly. Could even be overtime type of situation. Come really close down to the wire. But I think Trevor Lawrence and company get the ugly week 1 win on the road in Indianapolis against a division rival. Give me the Jaguars. So moving on into the next game, though. The Buccaneers, Tom Brady-less Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield at the helm will travel to Minnesota to face Captain Kirk and moving on up like Justin Jefferson. Gotta love Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the game, as the Bucs will travel to Minnesota to play the Vikings. I mean, this is an interesting game here. I do think that both these teams take a step down this year. The Vikings especially, I don't really think the Vikings make the playoffs here. Maybe they're a 9-win team at best, maybe a 10-win team at best, somewhere in that ballpark. Bucs, though, I think have gotten worse all around too. I don't think the Bucs will win the division this year, even if I know they had a losing record at 8-9 and won the division title last year. That tells you something. I mean, how bad that division was. I don't like the Bucs to win this game on the road, though. Give me the Vikings. Again, I don't know if I'm giving points, though. I wouldn't touch the spread of this game. I wouldn't touch this game at all. I think these are two teams that are going to take a step down and just be ugly, but one of them is going to start 1-0, barring a tie. So I think the Vikings will sneak out the week 1 win at home. Maybe they cover the 6, maybe not. I wouldn't touch the spread there, though. I think the Vikings get the win at home. Not a great game to pick, though. I would stay away from that fucking game because those teams, I think both those teams will regress this year. Next game, though. This is a tale of two different teams here. We have the Tennessee Titans traveling to New Orleans to face the Super Saints. Yes, 3.5-point underdogs are the Titans here. I think the Saints win this division this year. I think the Saints would be my pick to win the NFC South. I like the Saints. I think that they figured it out enough. I like that they brought in Derek Carr. I think that they have a little bit better of, a direction right now. I know that they seemed lost without Sean Payton in last year. They started really slow, but finished okay late, but it was already, of course, too little too late type of deal. Saints, though, I think will win the division this year. I think they win this game. The Titans, I see taking a big step down from last year. Of course, they started like 7-3 and will lose their last 7 games because of the injuries to their quarterbacks. And of course, Malik Willis wasn't ready, and they started Josh Dobbs in a do or die game. I mean, the Titans had a really, really rough, rattled injury season, and I do see them taking a step back. I think they win exactly the same amount of games. I think they're a 7-10 football team, the Titans, this year. I see them taking a step down. So the Saints, give me the Saints all day at home. Over under 41. I would say take the under here. I don't think either one of these teams are going to go crazy and score that much. So I would say take the under, and I would say take the Saints. I don't know if I'm giving the 3.5, but I think the Saints win money line. So give me the Saints there, and let's move on into my boys hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Of course, Brock Purdy, my client, Brock Purdy, will travel to Pittsburgh for his first regular season game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Brock Purdy was perfect down the stretch last year. He did not lose a game in the regular season. Then he would go on to win 2 playoff games until he was ultimately defeated at the hands of the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know he got taken out early in that game. He completed all 4 of his passes, but that was the only game where Brock Purdy has lost in the National Football League to this point. The Steelers are home dogs, getting 2.5 points. I think we win this game, and I do think it goes up to 3. I think by kickoff, this game will be Steelers +3. Take the 3 points, take the Steelers at home. I like everything I've seen in the preseason. I think George Pickens is not a human. I think George Pickens is the next big thing, and I think a lot of people right now sort of think they see it coming, and they're just afraid to jump the shark and say, "Oh, I think he's the next big thing." George Pickens is that great, and the Pickett to Pickens connection, I think, is going to be something very special for Pittsburgh Steelers fans for years to come. And I do think Deontay Johnson will have a bounce back year. I do think he'll catch a touchdown. I love what I saw from Najee Harris the last few weeks. I think the defense has only improved. I love the addition of Joey Porter Jr. drafting him. I love, Cam Hayward, guy is just one of my favorite Steelers of all time. Absolutely love him. Patrick Peterson is a huge veteran. I think the offensive line is better. I think that, they've added some interesting offensive weapons in Allen Robinson. I really enjoy what I've seen so far from the Steelers in the preseason, and I think it continues here. I really like the Steelers to win this game. Big upset win, even though they're in their home park, their home field. I do think the Steelers get the W. I would take the under here as well. It's 40.5 is the under. Take the under, take the points, take the Steelers, and I think they get the week 1 upset because the last 2 years, we were huge road dogs in Buffalo, won that game. The next year, we're huge road dogs in Cincinnati, won that game outright. So we got points, won both games outright. We were on the road in those games. Here, I think the same thing, but I do think we get the home win. So Steelers, give me the Steelers plus 2.5. Take the under. I think we get the upset win against the 49ers week 1 here. Moving on to the next game, Cardinals will go to Washington to face the Commanders, which the Commanders are only giving 7 here. I like the Commanders all day. I think the Cardinals are going to be the worst team in football. I don't think there's a question that they are going to be the worst team in football. I think their ceiling is 2 wins, maybe. At best, I think they win 2 games. And I don't think they do. I think they either go 1-16 or 2-15. I really do. I think that's how bad this roster is from top to bottom. They are just ugly. They lost their best offensive weapon in DeAndre Hopkins. Zach Ertz is really old. James Conner, I really like, but there's only so much he's going to be able to do with a very weak offensive line, no quarterback. I think Colt McCoy is their quarterback. I don't like the Cardinals at all. I think the Commanders get a very commanding win, no pun intended. I'd like the Commanders to win by 10 or more in this game. So I would give the 7 points, and it's over-under is 38.5. I guess they're not, counting on the Cardinals to score very many. So I would leave that 38.5. Don't touch it because that makes me think that they really have no faith the Cardinals are going to score. So I would take the Commanders and give the 7. I think the Commanders get the home W. So easily win there. I think the Commanders win that game. Next, and the NFL's oldest, most classic rivalry, as the Green Bay Cheesehead Packers will travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. AJ Zitro, shout out to you, my friend, one of the biggest Chicago Bears guys I know. Packers, Bears. The Bears are minus 2.5 at home. Wow. That's interesting. So the Bears are fucking home favorites against the Packers. So isn't that interesting? Aaron Rodgers, I own you. I own Chicago. Now that's Jordan Love, all of a sudden the number 1 seeded in the draft, right? They had the number 1 pick in the draft that they traded to get DJ Moore. So they were technically the worst team in the NFL last year, is now home favorite against a division rival week 1. It's funny how that works. I actually like the Bears. I think the Bears will beat the Cheeseheads here. I don't see Jordan Love being as great as people say. I really don't. I think Matt LaFleur, we'll see how good of a head coach he is. There's things about Matt LaFleur I like and dislike. I like that he generally likes to run the ball. I enjoy head coaches and football teams that like to run first, pass second, like run to get you up to the line, hit you over the top of the pass. I enjoy coaching like that. That's just the way I always saw football. And to me, what makes sense. You establish the run to set up the pass. I'm old school, though, so I don't know. That would probably be, it's a passing league, you four-eyed fuck. I know, I got it. I think Chicago, though, will get the home win. I like this. I like the Bears here, and the Bears also, remember last year they went 3-14, I believe, or 4-13. They were horrible. Whatever their record was, they won week 1 against the 49ers at home. They won a really ugly game in ugly, rainy weather, but they beat a team that would go on to be in the NFC Championship game. So week 1 could be weird sometimes, how that works. But I like the Bears. I think they beat those cheeseheads. I would give the 2 points, too. Give the fucking 2 points. I'm not afraid to give the Packers and Jordan Love 2 points. If the Packers win by or the Bears win by 1 point only, that would be shocking to me. So I like the Bears. I think the Bears win by a field goal or more. Give me Chicago at home with a nice opening win. So a lot of home teams were taken here. But coming up next, The Raiders will travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. Of course, the Broncos have a new head coach in town, Sean Payton. Can hit the marriage between he and Russell Wilson work because, of course, last year Russ was not cooking, and the Denver Broncos had like the worst offense in the league. I mean, if not one of the worst. I mean, they were horrible last year. Let's be honest. How bad Denver was and how big the expectations were. And here they're -4 favorites at home. I don't like the Raiders coach at all. I hate Josh McDaniels. I think he's a fucking hack. I think he is a classic case of a head coach bust, a guy that on paper should be a good head coach, but just is not. And I do think that he's going to get fired at some point. Now, I know Al Davis apparently loves him. I don't know why. But I don't know. I think Josh McDaniels is a shitty head coach. I think they're really shitty for letting Carr walk. I don't think that was a good idea. And, of course, they give Jimmy Garoppolo the big money contract. We're going to see what Jimmy G is worth without that big run game behind him. We're going to see what Jimmy G is worth without Kyle Shanahan, holding his hand in the big 49ers defense, man, because the Raiders do not have a good defense. They do not have a good secondary. I just don't really like anything about the Raiders other than the Devontae Adams. So I think the Broncos will win this game. I don't know if I give 4 points. I could see it being an ugly 3-point win, especially considering how bad Denver's offense was last year. I could see the under hitting 43.5. I would totally take the under here. I could see this game being 43.5 under. I definitely would take the under, and I think the Broncos will get the home win. But I wouldn't touch that spread again. Division games can be tricky, usually very close games. So I don't like giving points, especially when I'm taking a favorite. I don't like giving anybody points there. So I think Denver gets the W. And probably an ugly game, but I think Denver goes over the Raiders. So moving on, as Tua turned the ball over, probably my most unpopular opinion. I think he's a fucking bust. I think he's a fucking hack, and I can't stand him. I can't stand Tua Tagovailoa. He sucks. I don't care what anyone says. All the Dolphin fans, oh, he's our guy. He's our guy. He's not your fucking guy. You're a bunch of marks. Keep lying to yourself. Just keep lying to yourself. Oh, if I get on a rant, I hate Tua Tagovailoa. I hate him. That's a horrendously bad quarterback, in my opinion. Oh, horrible. But him and his team will travel to Los Angeles to take on Justin Herbert, who's a great quarterback, who's a top 5 talent, who is arguably, in my opinion, I think he's one of the most underrated players in football. I know Mahomes and Allen get all the love. Burrow gets all the love. Joe Shiesty, Joe Cool. Justin Herbert. If Justin Herbert had a coach worth the shit, Justin Herbert would be in the same position as those guys. The difference between those 3 guys I just mentioned, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, they have a much better system around them than fucking Herbert does. Herbert does not have a good head coach. Brandon Staley should have been fired after that loss in the playoffs last year to the Jaguars. Horrible head coach. I think he is terrible, and I don't think the Chargers will ever achieve a modicum of success higher than a wild card berth or maybe a wild card weekend W if he's their coach. They have to let him go. Like, I think they just need one more crippling loss like that and he'll get fired. I think they need desperately. I think they should have kept Anthony Lynn. I always felt they should have kept Anthony Lynn. I think Anthony Lynn would have wrote the ship, but of course they knew better and they hired Brandon Staley and fired their offensive coordinator after they scored 30 fucking points in a road playoff game. Fired their offensive coordinator. You scored 30 plus points in a road playoff game, you're fired. That is ridiculous. That's scapegoating. Brandon Staley sucks. I hate him. And at the same time, I hate Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins because I think Tua has arguably the 2 best and quickest and fastest wide receiver duo in Waddle and Hill. I mean, I love Waddle. I think Waddle's done so much with so little. I think Waddle's just a great talent. And I think with a better quarterback, I think Waddle would be putting up, top 5 wide receiver numbers in the league because he's already putting up such great numbers. And, of course, that's with Hill on the field getting targets as well. I think both those guys, that's probably the best wide receiver tandem you have in football is Waddle and Hill. And I just think Tua is just bad. And I know I do feel bad that he's had the injuries with the concussions and stuff like that. I never wish bad on anybody, even though I do think Tua stinks. I don't wish injury or bad or harm on the guy. I think that sucks that he's gone through that. So this is an interesting game. There's a lot about both. Like, I don't like the Chargers staff and I don't like the Dolphins quarterback. I would say the Chargers will get the W here. I would even give the 3. I think this is a close game, but I think I'd give the 3. I think the Chargers can win by 4 or more. I like the Chargers here at home. The over is 51. That's a big over. I don't know. Maybe that I don't know if I touch that, man. I do think this would be a high scoring game. I do. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I'd hit that or not. I don't know if I'd go over or under there. Maybe we could go back to that. But I have the Chargers at home. I'll give the 3 points to the Dolphins. I don't think that's too bad of a pick. Moving on, the Super Bowl, of course, loser here, the NFC defending champion Philadelphia Eagles will travel to Foxborough to take on Bill Belichick and the Patriots, who are 4.5-point home dogs, which is interesting. You never thought you'd see the day where Patriots would be home dogs, at least in my lifetime. But yeah, here it is. I like the Eagles to demolish the Patriots in this game. I don't think the Patriots have a good roster. I don't think Bill Belichick is worth the shit without Tom Brady. I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion, but look at his record with and without Tom Brady, and you will see why. He has never won anything other than as a head coach. He's never won anything before or after Brady's never won anything worth a shit. So I do not think he's as great of a head coach as people say. I know that he's won all the bowls. I know he did it with Brady. I know people say he's the best coach of all time. You think that? That's great. I don't see it that way. I don't. You had the greatest quarterback of all time. I do see it that way. I do. I just do. I know people say I'm unfair, whatever. Maybe I am. I definitely do not like Bill Belichick as a person or as a coach. I don't think he's worth a shit. And I don't like the Patriots roster. I think this is Mac Jones' season. If he has a good season, he'll keep his job. If not, I think he's out the door and they'll try to draft somebody else. I think the Eagles whoop the Patriots by 14 or more. I like the Patriots as road favorites here. I'd give the 4.5. Hell, I'd give 7 here. I think the Eagles just roll over the New England Patriots. Easy W for the Philadelphia Eagles. And there will be no hangover this week. Now, I do think they could be hungover this season. I don't see the Eagles winning 14 games again or whatever the fuck it was. I don't see that at all. There's never a year where you win 14 and you win 15. Like, it's very rare. Like, you have to take a step down just by the law of physics. Like, I still think they're a playoff team. I still think they could very well win the division. But if you're asking me, do they win 14, 15 again? No, I don't. I don't see that. But they do win this game, and I think easily. If I'm the Eagles, I love opening up in New England and Foxborough because I think Hurts and company are going to just dismantle this Patriots roster, and I think it's going to be fun to watch because I can't stand New England. Moving on here, we have our last 3 games. The Rams will travel to face their, of course, division rival of the NFC West. They will face the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Yes, last year, of course, Geno Smith and company got to the playoffs as the 7th and final seed. Of course, here they are -4.5 home favorites against the Rams, who the Rams took a huge step down. Of course, after winning their Super Bowl, they had the Super Bowl hangover last year. McVay and company had a really tough year. Stafford didn't play much. And this is an interesting game. I mean, the Rams played Seattle really tough in Seattle last year in a do-or-die game for the Seahawks that the Seahawks barely eked out in overtime. So this is a game where I would not touch the spread because McVay is a damn good coach. No matter what roster he has around him, McVay is one of those guys that will compete, especially in a division game. I love what Pete Carroll's done over the years in Seattle. He's won a bowl there. I really like Pete Carroll's energy. Pete Carroll's a big inspiration to me. I really enjoy Pete Carroll and the way that he coaches. I like his style. I like his mentality. This is a tough game. Actually, in my opinion, I look at this as a pick'em. I think the Rams are going to play hard. I know on paper the Seahawks probably have the better roster, whatever the fuck. I think the Rams are going to play them very tough. I actually would take the points if I'm betting here. I would take the 4.5 points and take the Rams on the road here. I think the Rams might lose the game outright. They might lose by a field goal. I do think this comes down to a field goal either way. You know what? I will go with the upset pick, though. I think the Rams win. I would take the points. Give me the Rams plus the 4.5. I like the Rams to win on the road here in Seattle. I think they'll find a way. I think Seattle opens up a little bit sloppy. So give me the Rams in Seattle as we come down to our 2 primetime games left on the evening here as we have, it's a fun rivalry. And where I live, I mean, this is a big rivalry because, of course, you have America's team and the Dallas Cowboys, which I know a lot of people, that's offensive, they're America's team. Whatever, it doesn't. It's just I don't care either way. And, of course, the New York Giants. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys will play the New York Giants. And let's see, Dallas is giving 3.5. So the Giants are 3.5 home dogs. That's interesting coming off last year where the Giants played much better and Brian Daboll really changed the culture there from a losing culture with a very poor roster to a winning culture with, in my opinion, pretty much the same roster. I mean, last year, you look at what he did, that roster from top to bottom from the previous season was not that different. What was different was the mentality and what Brian Daboll brought even week 1 against Tennessee, where he went for 2 and they ended up winning a big road game where they were dogs and they won in Tennessee and nobody saw them winning that game. It was a huge win for them. And I think from that point on, the Giants really believed that they were better than anyone ever thought that they were. And thus they go on this miracle run where they get to the division round and do end up losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. But I thought the Giants were just such a wonderful story. And I thought Brian Daboll deserved Coach of the Year. I really do. I thought Brian Daboll did such a wonderful job last year as Giants head coach. And really one of the few blemishes was the division records. Of course, I believe the Giants were 1-4-1 in division games. That's crazy. So they only won one division game all of last year, and I believe they finished 11-6 or 10-7. So a majority of their losses / ties were in division. Five decisions were division decisions, and I like Dallas here. I like Dallas on the road. I think they open up strong. I know everyone is, calling for McCarthy, calling for Prescott's head. I know this is the last year I think they're going to have to prove anything. I think this is one of those years where if they win the wild card, or even if they win the division, if they're a one and done in the playoffs, McCarthy will get fired. And I could see them sticking with Dak one more year and then letting Dak go because that's the contract. But I definitely think Dallas fans right now feel that the whole thing is on the hot seat. They just have no confidence after the past 2 years getting bounced by the Niners, who are a superior team, whether they like to hear it or not. The Niners are a better fucking football team. They're a better fucking coach. They have a better defense. I love Micah Parsons, but the Niners are just a way better oiled machine than the Dallas Cowboys have been the past few seasons. But I think Dallas has had the Giants number. They really, really have. I really like Dallas to beat the Giants here. And I would even give the points. I would give the Giants the 3.5 points. The over-under is 46.5. Again, wouldn't touch that, but I think Dallas wins by 10. I like the Cowboys here. I think the Cowboys go over on Sunday Night Football. But now for the main event of the evening, the main event of the week, as the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, who is banging Haley Steinfeld, which in my opinion, that makes Josh Allen the luckiest man in the world. And he's probably this number 2 quarterback in the world just behind Mahomes. I mean, it's insane how lucky that guy is. And of course, they will travel to face the division rival New York Jets, who are 2-point home favorites. Of course, the Jets made the big move to sign Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. Their defense was fantastic last year. They started 7-3, and they looked like they were going to walk to a playoff berth. Instead, they lost their last 7, finished 7-10. No playoffs. Zach Wilson gets the bench and the hook. Mike White comes in, tries to play with injured ribs, doesn't work. And of course, now the Jets have Aaron Rodgers, a Hall of Famer. They're going with the old guy. Look what happened to my fucking Mets. I don't know, man. I don't know how optimistic I would be if I'm a Jets fan, because you look at what the Mets just tried to do in bringing in guys that will be in the Hall of Fame, that were Hall of Famers elsewhere, that are old and not in their prime anymore. It could just, in fact, come back to bite them in the ass. Now, I do believe the Jets will compete, and I do believe the Jets will be up for a wild card. I think us and the Steelers and the Jets and the Chargers, those will be the teams in the hunt. The Dolphins, they'll be in the hunt for a wild card berth. But I don't know. I don't know how much I buy the Jets hype, because I think the Jets need to run the ball first too. I really believe that. And I don't know with Aaron Rodgers if they're going to do that. If they do, and they do it effectively with guys like Breece Hall, guys like Dalvin Cook, who they just brought in, I do think the Jets can have a successful season. And I like the head coach. I like Saleh. I think Saleh's a good head coach, and I think he can change the culture and the mentality. He's definitely improved the defense over the past few years. I mean, they looked great last year. And you have a guy like Garrett Wilson on the offensive side of the ball that can just do anything. He reminds me a lot of George Pickens. I know he's the guy. George Pickens doesn't get the highlight or the press that a Garrett Wilson got. But I do think that's going to change, and I do think George Pickens and Garrett Wilson are going to be 2 great wide receivers for years to come. This is an interesting game, because last year the Bills went into New York and got whooped. The Jets beat them in New York, and this is a really tough game to pick. Give me the fucking Jets. I think the Jets win. Give me the 2 points at home. Give me the over here. I like the over 46.5. I definitely think there's some scoring in this game. I know both defenses are good, but I think both quarterbacks are gonna, want to show up. This is a Monday night. This is an opening kickoff. I think the defenses won't be up to par as usual as they will be later in the season. Give me the over here. I like the Jets. Give me the 2 and give me the over here in the Week 1 finale of Monday Night Football. Da-da-da-da. Okay, so that has been the NFL picks for week 1. If you agree with my picks, let me know. Comment down below and let me know. If you want to show me your picks, share with me your picks. Go ahead. I would love to hear them. If you have anything negative to say, if you have any death threats, like the first few times I've done this over the years, if you have any death threats, I will block you and I'll probably call you something else, but, not on tier. I'll probably just curse you off behind your back or to myself quietly because I'm not trying to get confrontation. If I didn't pick your fucking team, I don't hate you. I don't hate your fucking team. Well, I do hate the Dolphins because they're a bunch of fucking pussies. Sorry, I do. You're the most overrated motherfucking quarterback. I'm so sick of hearing about Tua Tagovailoa. I can't. Fucking, doesn't, like I said, that doesn't mean anything. I'm just honest with my opinion. If you're new to the channel too, because I'm sure there will be people that are new to the channel that, it's sports, looking for sports. This is a horror-based channel. It's just something I wanted to do for fun, something I wanted to try. We'll see how we do. We'll see how we do with the picks. And I guess that will be all for now. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you want to comment down below, if you're new to the channel, let me know your favorite team. Let me know what you think your team's going to do this year. That'd be really cool to hear. But everybody, excited for a new NFL season. Let me know what you guys think of my picks. So we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too sweet peace. And we'll catch you next time on the Gridiron.